glad you could join us here at the Weather Network. My name is Kasia Bodurka, in for Suzanne Leonard. She'll be back tomorrow.
Chris May here with you as well. Stories that we were talking about at the briefing where we had some really active weather yesterday. We had a tornado watch and warning yesterday in areas of central and northern Alberta. Suzanne and I this time yesterday, we were getting ready for storms into southwest Ontario, and we had tornado warnings there as well. Could that be in play for today?
We will let you know because
Certainly.
there is a lot of active weather. There are a lot of watches across the country, so we'll keep you posted on that. Speaking of active weather, let's get to it.
Here's just some of the scenes yesterday in Alberta. Now, just give a listen to this for a second.
Chaos.
Sounds like a war movie down now.
Unbelievable. Cars in the garage if you can. Especially if they're the newer cars, right? Okay. Now let's talk about the potential for some more active weather, because when you have the hot and humid weather, that's what you can possibly get. Severe thunderstorms, and associated with that is that hail, perhaps not quite as large. Now let's take a look at the places across the country, mostly southern prairies that we're expecting and that we're looking at the most humid weather. In these parts, it's feeling like over 40, even 42. And that's what brings us to that potential for thunderstorms. The most severe places, or that could be hit with the most severe weather, would be southeastern Saskatchewan, as well as in and around the Interlake region of Manitoba. South of that as well, that's where we could see even a potential for some rotation in the air. And again, hail, very strong winds, and heavy downpours. Now, these are the temperatures, the conditions that we're talking about here. Take a look at Regina, feeling like 42. Of course, numbers in yellow, that's how it's feeling. That's your Humidex advisory. That's your Humidex number. 48 in Winnipeg, definitely the hottest place in the country, or one of the hottest places in the country. And to the west, also quite warm. Now, this is what we're expecting for the next few days. Still very hot, very humid across the country for the next few days, really. It's more of the same. So, you know how many ways can we say humid for southern Ontario? Well, we'll see. A low pressure system is making its way into eastern parts of the country, so we are still expecting some more rain into Wednesday for the Maritimes as well, the Avalon. And again, a vast low pressure system causing some unsettled weather across the prairies. And behind that system, we're looking at cooler weather for us in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and rain to the west coast. That's Wednesday, Thursday, still more rain to the west coast. Temperatures stabling out a little bit. We're looking at seasonal conditions across the southern parts of the prairies, but sweltering hot. Southern Ontario, it's going to be feeling like 48 on Thursday. So if you're not into that weather, really stay inside, stay hydrated. And we're looking at a vast low pressure system bringing us more rainy weather to the eastern border of the country Thursday. Friday, shaping up just a little bit. Stick with us. So glad you're here. You're almost on time for your local forecast. But before that, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek as to what to expect across the country from east to west. We're looking at, well, a little bit of active weather, really, especially St. John's, rainy weather for you. But temperatures 23 on Wednesday. Into central parts of the country, much warmer. Take a look. But it's going to be feeling even warmer than these values we're looking at because the Humidex is really building into these parts. To the prairies, also quite warm. A potential for some active weather for a lot of us. Take note, Thunder Bay, rain for Wednesday, so potential for some thunderstorms again. Friday, heavier rain to Saskatoon. And now over to the western border of the country. We are looking at some active weather for Vancouver, Victoria. Also Edmonton, not until Thursday or Friday. And again, those temperatures are building up a little cooler to Vancouver. Now your locals are now. Please stick with us.
It's been baking hot.
We know all about baking hot, don't we? And here we are. Very great segue. We're looking at the Humidex advisory for extreme southwestern Ontario. It's feeling like over 40, maybe 42 for some parts. It's been pretty uncomfortable for a lot of us. And again, that hot, humid weather always is a potential, or creates a potential for some thunderstorms. And that's exactly what we're looking at here, anywhere from Windsor up through to eastern parts of the province. And that risk extends until tomorrow as well. So, but of course, we're looking at more northerly regions of Ontario. So what we're looking at mostly here are heavy downpours, quick heavy downpours, and severe winds. So keeping note of that when you're heading out. Now we are into a severe thunderstorm watch for central and southern regions of Alberta, as well as western regions for Saskatchewan. And what this essentially means, there is, again, all those ingredients which could cause severe thunderstorms. They're in place right now. So please do keep your eye out and be rest assured, or be assured, that there could be a potential for some thunderstorms. Right now what we're looking at is a radar, and these green areas that's showing where the rain is falling. So we are seeing that Saskatoon was in it, Regina as well, and it's heading towards Brandon, so keeping note of that. And this is our severe and non-severe thunderstorm risk, really across the prairie, southern parts. And the most severe weather could really be southeastern Saskatchewan, as well as the Interlake region of Manitoba. Keeping your eye out for that.
Thanks again for staying with us. Lots to talk about, especially if you're in the prairies. Kasia, we were in the briefing. We were taking a look at the storms that made their way through the prairies yesterday.
Yeah.
Possibility of a tornado touchdown. There certainly is some damage to report.
Yeah, we even had some reports on our storm line,
yeah,
from touchdowns of funnel clouds, right? But nothing confirmed at this point.
Baseball-size hail in Waskesiu, which is just north of the Battlefords. The Battlefords also saw damage as well. Obviously, going to be a hot spot for Environment Canada. You want to see what we're talking about? Here it is.
And this is exactly what we're looking at today across the prairies, really. A lot of parts across the country so hot. All the way southern areas, central areas of Saskatchewan, the Interlakes region down through Winnipeg, even parts of northwestern Ontario, feeling like 40, even 42 for some of us, so very uncomfortable. And that's what leads us to this thunderstorm risk. And most severe weather could be experienced in southeastern areas of Saskatchewan, or Alberta rather, and again into the Interlake region down to Winnipeg. Keeping your eye out on the hail and such. Now the colors, or the numbers rather, in yellow, that's your humidex, feeling much warmer than it says on your thermometers, and you know it too, don't you? And to the western parts of the country, we're looking at sunny skies, Vancouver, Victoria, which is great. Enjoy it because rain is in your forecast. Now, as of late, there are over 100 active fires going on in northwestern Ontario, so we are hoping for more rainy weather. There is a system in place, and to date, over 500 fires. So almost 300,000 hectares burned in these areas. So dangerous. Stick with us. Your long range is now. Take a look. The next few days will be shaping up like this. We're taking a look at more hot, humid weather for southern Ontario. Really, that's going to be your trend for the next few days, with some rainy weather to the Maritimes that also will be persisting for the next few days. Fast low pressure system right across the prairies with a potential for some thunderstorms. And behind this system, we're looking at cooler conditions. It's still going to be warm, but just slightly cooler, with some rainy conditions to the west coast. That's going to be persisting when we look into Thursday, with temperatures back to seasonal for the prairies, a little bit more comfortable for you. Sweltering, that's how we're putting it. It's going to be feeling like 48. That's what we're projecting at this point for southern Ontario, with rainy conditions right across the eastern seaboard of the country. Come Friday, it does clear up just a little bit, but we still do have that potential for some rainy weather to the Maritimes, although most of Newfoundland, you'll be all right with cooler conditions and more unsettled weather for a lot of us across the west. And more potentially to come. We're actually watching the risk of thunderstorms to southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, also southern parts of Manitoba. You're all under a severe weather risk because of all that humid weather. But over to Atlantic Canada first. Let's talk about the risk here. We're currently watching a lot of thunderstorms, the potential across many parts of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia as well. Keeping your eye out for that, but they won't necessarily be severe thunderstorms. They could be isolated severe across Ontario, southwestern Ontario, eastern regions as well, northern regions. We're looking at some severe weather for us, again, because of all that humidity that we've been seeing, that we've had building in. And that risk really extends into Wednesday as well, also into more northern regions, which isn't necessarily a good story when it comes to all the wildfires that have been burning ablaze in northwestern Ontario. Now, we also have a severe weather risk right across the prairies, like I had mentioned off the top. So more hail, like we had seen, could be coming into your area. Some people had reported seeing hail the size of softballs, just almost, you would call it insane, but really, this is really what people are contending with. And into Wednesday, we're looking at active weather across the prairies as well.
What a day, what a day, what a day. Suzanne not here today. She'll be back tomorrow. Kasia was so good to jump into the fray and join me here today. So can't wait to get started.
Yes, we are looking at a lot of active weather or potential for some active weather across the country. But here we are yesterday. This was the scene. Montreal Monday, a lot of rain to the area.